I would love to hear you play the beginning of the Opus 18 number 1, String Quartet of Beethoven. And so here are the Aizuri String Quartet performing this music for you. In listening to you, I was struck by the fact that the string quartet had moved on in the sense that it was no longer first violin dominated, with the others playing a much more accompaniment role. I mean, you four are equal partners in this whole thing. And just in the rehearsal process, did you find it hard to sort out who had the important voice and who had the auxiliary accompanying voice? Was that a big issue in the rehearsals?
I think it's the way that Beethoven wrote it, it's relatively clear. But yeah, to strike the balance between things and the action of constantly changing your own role from like, say, the melody into harmony, into rhythm, like just shifting and putting on different masks. That was very challenging for us.
That's what I love about string quartets, though, because I mean, you can be the great soloist, you can be the humble accompanist, and you can be just the team player who's playing, you know, in beautiful four-part harmony. It's just great. Well, in listening to you play, and I kept on being in the quartet myself, having played this piece so many times, and I kept on thinking, it's so hard, and you made it sound so easy, but was it hard?
Yes. Yeah, it was pretty difficult.
Yeah, not only like the shifting of characters, but also like the sudden drops in volume that you have to kind of finesse and make it sound musical. And also with this one in particular, just maintaining the energy of it and always making, you know, the music sound like it's rolling. And
You have to make it sound easy in a way.
Yeah, and that's almost very, like more like harder.
Yeah, and it's so playful that all these different changes and sudden changes, they're quite challenging to maneuver awkwardly. Physically. They're, to execute a physical gesture like that with 4 people in the same way is rather tough.
So I've got to ask this question because you're a young quartet, and I remember when we were a young quartet, I was in a way terrified when we had disagreements that were, for example, 2 and 2. And so how do you deal with disagreements? I'm sure you look like you're still speaking with one another, so at least you're dealing with them relatively well. But I mean, just in a practical way, what happens when 2 of you want the retard at the end of a certain passage and 2 of you don't, for example?
We try both ways. A couple of times to kind of really live with each possibility and to try out all the different options. And I think it's also, we realize that we're not gonna perform this piece or any of the pieces just once. There'll be probably many opportunities to play it, and so one time we might try one way, and then the next time we perform it, we might decide, oh, let's try the other way today and see how that goes.
Yeah, well, we had something that actually amazed me, because I thought what we thought in rehearsal would be exactly the same in concert. And when we disagreed, we found that if we were touring with, let's say, Beethoven's Opus 18, number 1, and there was a question of retarding or not retarding, we say, well, in Des Moines, Iowa, we're going to retard. We're going to make the retard. And in Sioux City, we're not going to make the retard. And it sounded kind of silly as an idea, but on stage, suddenly we all knew that retard doesn't work. And I don't know how, it's the moment of truth on stage when certain things become apparent that they work or they don't work. It has been a great pleasure for me to be speaking with the Aizuri String Quartet, and not only to speak with them, but to hear them play marvelously. And this will continue in future programs where we will be discussing the great string quartet repertoire. We will discuss it, we will examine it, and you will have the privilege of hearing this wonderful young quartet performing as well.